It was good to be back recording another podcast.
Word.
Yeah, man. Pop the LaCroix on a little bit. Give everyone a little ASMR action. Silent the phone like a proper host should. Dude, you were an audio engineer too?
I was an audio engineer in like my early mid-20s, yeah.
Dude, no shit. That was literally like my first profession out of college.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's how I learned how to rig up all this stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that
Well,
makes
I
sense.
meant the microphones and like the whole like interface and all that stuff.
Right, totally. The digital audio interface and everything, yeah.
Yeah, most people don't get it. And,
Yeah.
and then people wonder why the podcast sounds so good. I'm like, that's engineering.
So I actually I went and checked out a couple of your interviews this morning before I came in and everything, just to like kind of make sure I understood the format and everything.
Yeah.
And the first thing that jumped out to me was, oh, he knows how to compress audio. This is amazing.
Yeah, you know exactly what I was talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that you even picked up on that, like I've got like 10 plugins going. I've got like a imager, dynamics, I got a gate,
Totally.
got a compressor. But with the secret sauce is like I use all the old plugins that I used to have from all my mixing days.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so I have all that little secret sauce, and I'm
Nice.
like, man, that stuff really took it to the next level.
Yeah, no, the audio sounds incredibly sweet on it. You're doing a great job there.
Yeah, thank you, man. I had to lower the gate a little bit just because it was cutting off too tight.
Yeah.
And so it kind of made things sound weird when I was talking.
Yeah.
It made me sound like, yep. I was like, I don't sound like that, do I?
Yeah.
And literally everyone here has no idea what we're talking about.
That's okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ways you can learn. And in the meantime, just like listen in and you'll be able to pick up the beauty of it, hopefully.
Yeah, we're talking about audio engineering, and that is what makes this podcast sound so good right now in the car or on your headphones.
Absolutely.
Like if you were to listen to this without anything on it, it would be in one ear,
Right.
and it would be really quiet. But
Yeah.
because all the secret sauce that I know how to do, it's like the voice. My voice is like
It
God's
makes it just
breath.
buttery smooth to your inner ear.
Yes.
Beautiful.
But guys, welcome back to That's the Angle. Today, I am joined with Drex, or Drex Factor, as you might know him, if you already know about him. Because if you know about him, then he's a big deal. But if you don't know about him, you should know about him. We're going to learn about him.
Word.
Yeah. So I actually want to talk about the story of how I met you.
Okay,
I
yeah,
feel like that would be
absolutely.
a really interesting sort of segue into this whole thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So literally at this coffee shop right over here, I end up picking up this hippie chick whose name I'm not going to say. I just don't know if she want to be.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And she was super cool. We ended up coming back to the studio, drinking some wine, taking some photos. And then she was like, hey, do you want to come to a burn tonight? And I was like, and I had just met this girl. Like I met her like a few hours later. And she was like, do you want to come to a burn? And I was like, what the hell's a burn? She was like, it's where we go and we spin fire. And I'm like, hell yes, I want to go. This hot hippie chick is asking me if I want to go to a burn. I'm like, that sounds sweet, So I brought my camera with me thinking it'd be some kind of fun opportunity. I had no expectations. Like I was honestly like little like sketched out. She's taking me out to Maryland.
Yeah.
To go burn at someone's house. What the fuck does that mean? These gonna be like a bunch of druggies and all this stuff. I was just not expecting much. But yeah, and so we ended up at this house, and it just seemed like a normal suburban house. Everyone was super cool, not druggies, just normal fucking people who love to.
Well, normal-ish.
Yeah, normal-ish, who love to spin fire and Poi and stuff like that.
Right.
But when I was there, it was like there was this like feeling of celebrity there. Someone named Drex. It was like I cannot make this shit up. She was like Drex is gonna be there. I was like, first of all, it's a cool name. And I was like, second of all, who the fuck is Drex? She's like, he's like this super dope Poi spinner. And I was like, Drex. I was like, what the hell? I was like, and so I was there, and then you showed up, and then I swear to God, everyone's like, oh my God, like he's here. And I was just like, what am I missing here? And then
Apparently what I'm missing too. I didn't know that's what they say about me when I'm not around.
dude, yeah, you're like a legend or something. And so then I meeted you, and we just ended up talking like about like online marketing stuff, and you're like a super cool guy. So
Totally. No, and it was funny for me because, like we said in that conversation, neither one of us encounter very many people who are kind of in that internet entrepreneur kind of life. And just being able to talk to somebody who, like, number one, understood the lingo and kind of understood the culture there and everything. I wasn't expecting to find that at that party either.
yeah, it's really rare to find people who get those sorts of things.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, that was a great conversation. I definitely want to get into that at some point in this interview, because I'm sure the things have changed since then. I mean, that was almost a year ago, so it's...
Yeah. Oh my God, was it that long ago?
Yeah, man.
Damn, time flies.
Dude, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think we need to talk about exactly just what you do so people
Sure.
know that way it all makes sense.
Absolutely.
So,
So
yeah, you just introduce it. I don't want to do it. Like,
Yeah, totally,
I don't
totally.
want to botch it. I don't want to botch it up.
No. I mean, I think your perception is going to be pretty dead on. At least if I have done my work right in creating my branding, then
Okay, how about I say it and then you fill in the holes?
sweet. Cool.
How about
perfect.
that, right?
Yeah.
Like that could be going. Okay, so Drex is a professional Poi instructor, and if you don't know what Poi is, it is. I don't want to diminish it, but it is light spinning. So light up. So it's spinning balls on string.
Yes.
That you maneuver in very amazing ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah. So to like add a little bit of nuance on that and everything. Poi spinning is a very, very old juggling art. We get the name from the Maori people of New Zealand.
Really?
Poi dance is a form of haka, the ceremonial dances that the Maori perform. And depending upon the source that you look at, it's either a ceremonial dance that only women did, or sometimes people say that men did it as well. But you're right, it's balls on the ends of strings and everything.
But theirs were on fire.
No.
Really?
So, again, adding some nuance to this and everything. But no, originally they just had like ropes made out of like reeds and everything. And they'd have like a little ball. I don't actually know what they put inside of it, but they never lit it on fire.
So not on fire.
Not on fire.
They were not burning.
They were not burning.
Okay.
Fire dancing doesn't actually show up in history until the 1950s.
Whoa.
And when I explain this, it's going to make perfect sense because like
This is cool.
You think about the things that you need for fire dancing, which you need the fuels, which are basically petrochemical derivatives, white gas, lamp oil, things like that, and of course you need a wick that's going to hold on to it. You need something that's going to like be able to handle that heat and be able to be reusable and everything, right? So what we currently use for that is Kevlar, and what they originally used for that back in the 1950s and 60s was oh god, the name's escaping me. Starts with an A, gives you lung cancer, asbestos.
See, that whole part is the part that was really threw me off at the burn was the whole dunking of the burning things, or I guess Kevlar, into the white gas. Like I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like
Magic.
Now I was like, this makes no sense. But then it light it on fire and just keeps going. But that was like the craziest part to me.
It's basically just like a sponge of flammable chemicals, which you spin around your body because that makes sense.
Yeah, right.
So like all of the ingredients necessary to dance with fire are products of the industrial age. So we couldn't actually do it until the modern era.
So they couldn't do it back in the day, like I guess the Polynesian culture you said, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because they couldn't they maybe couldn't figure out how to hold a flame onto a piece of something or something. Like,
well, they didn't have any materials that would soak up the fuel and be able to be reusable after multiple burns.
Okay.
Because, I mean, fire destroys things.
Yeah.
So you need something that is that's pretty durable to put up with the kind of heat and chemical reactions and everything. And yeah, Kevlar is what we use nowadays.
Nice. So when you're spinning, do you think about Polynesian cultures, or is that just like some background?
Not really. I mean, Poi has evolved so much in the past few decades. I think, to be honest with you, about all we still have in common with the Maori tradition is the name.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, no worries. The way that they do Poi looks very, very different from what you saw at that party. What we do now is more about like kind of creating geometric shapes and kind of flowing between different tricks and everything. And as I understand it, the Maori tradition is more about there's like each trick basically has a storytelling role. And so putting them together is in essence like retelling Polynesian myths and the like.
So they were telling stories. You're just trying to trip people out.
Exactly.
I noticed that along the whole time I did not say anything about EDM.
No.
Was that on purpose?
Not deliberately, no. But now that you mention it, no, I think I'm the one and only person in fire dancing culture that is not a big fan of EDM.
Yeah,
so.
that's the craziest thing about you.
Yeah.
Is that you do something that's so EDM connected, at least in modern thoughts. And
I know.
You don't really like EDM.
I don't really like EDM.
I remember you doing a rant or a post about it.
A vlog on it, yeah.
And that was great.
You're the reason that happened, actually.
Yeah.
We had, like, I think it was a FaceTime call, wasn't it? Where we were just kind of like shooting the shit and catching up and everything.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like, critiquing each other's social media presence and everything. And I remember you had like these two big bullet points that you had for me, which, one was, your music sucks. You need better music.
Yeah, that was an obvious one.
Yeah, definitely. Which I've been doing better on.
Hell
that.
yeah, man.
And the other one was, that you suggested that I have some more personal content on there, and I talk about some things that were like important to me or just going through my head and everything. And at some other point in that conversation, it had come up that I didn't like EDM, and like immediately after we got off that FaceTime call, I'm like, all right, I know what the first vlog is going to be about now. No, I mean. We were talking a little earlier about the fact that we both have like a background in audio engineering and everything. I got into it through like playing music. I play 4 instruments, and
Whoa.
I used to play in a bunch of bands and everything.
What were they? What'd you play?
Bass, guitar, drums. I sing, and I can't read sheet music, but I can hold my own on a piano.
Dude, nice.
Yeah. So I love live instruments so incredibly much. And I know that there's some EDM groups that do incorporate that and everything, but like I can hear the mechanical nature of the music in such a way that like it just doesn't grab me the same way as like, a real human drummer and a real human bassist playing off of each other and finding a groove and everything. And there's just something about that feels so organic and
it feels natural. Like it feels like the wind blowing or like an ocean,
totally.
Coming in. It's this weird intangible thing that's not perfect.
Yeah.
It's even though they try to be, you always want to be perfectly in sync, but it's never true. And there's always sort of little off timings and swings to it and stuff like that are things you don't get in EDM.
Totally.
At least for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that there are people that can like program drums like that, but in the back of my head, I'm just always like, okay, you went through all of this effort to program these drums to sound like it was a human being doing this. Why didn't you just get a human being to do this,
Well, I think it's the sounds of the drums.
But, I mean, you can use electronic kits and stick whatever triggers you want on them.
Ah, that's true. I was like, is he going to bring that one up? But
I've been in this a while.
But on that one, then the rest of the song, it'd be weird to have this drum that like is irregular sometimes, but then your piano, your bass, your chords, your vocal samples are all perfectly in time.
Yeah.
And so then it has like this stiff feeling, and then but these loose drums. I feel like it might be kind of a weird clash, no?
Yeah, definitely. And there are definitely some groups that I've really gotten into. Like the XX is great at this, where they kind of like have the electronic drum track behind it, but. The thing that I first fell in love with that band is like I could hear that it was a live bassist playing against it. Like I could hear the kind of like fumbling of his fingers on the strings and everything. I'm like, wait, is that what I think it is? And even just like that little dose of human imperfection was enough to get me on board. Yeah.
You just don't like how just quantized.
Yeah.
And quantization, people don't know, quantization is in your computer. You can literally make the notes perfectly on beat, so it sounds like a robot is hitting it perfectly.
Totally. And I don't know if you saw this or not, but NAMM 2019 is in the process of wrapping up, and they just announced that MIDI 2.0 is getting released this year.
What does that mean?
So MIDI is...
No, I know MIDI is, but what does that mean for the whole community of audio and stuff like that?
It means that the ability to make electronic music is about to get a lot more detailed, that there's about to be... the one thing that I'm seeing the most press about, and God, it would literally, I'm going to do my best to do the short version of this because otherwise
I have no idea. Yeah. Fill me in. Yeah.
Well, so velocity is one of those things that traditionally MIDI doesn't have that much detail on, and they're upgrading it to like 16-bit at this point. So you wind up with something like 8 billion possibilities for how you can handle the velocity of notes now. Which
no shit.
Yeah, which I think is actually more than a human being can
because
do.
Velocity was something you'd have to draw in. Am I wrong? Yeah. I remember when I produced, velocity was that's how you'd get like that
right exactly
on the hi-hat because you put one loud, one softer, one loud, one softer. But now you can literally sit there on your pad and go
right. And this is going to get like really deep into the weeds for a second, but you know, just if you played around with like post-production and animation and everything, you know how, you know, you want to have your ease in and ease out and like your curves and everything on graphics and everything.
Yeah.
I think the idea is they're trying to get that to happen in more detail with no velocity.
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean the ins and outs and stuff like that?
So rather than like just kind of like having a more binary kind of like on off and everything, and that's an oversimplification of what's going on there.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But
okay,
have
okay.
it be like more curved, you know, that you can kind of sweep up into it and out again.
Oh, wow, dude, that's amazing. MIDI
Yeah.
2.0.
Yeah.
Holy, about time.
I know. It's, oh God, what has it been? 35 years since they released MIDI 1.0? Like, that's a really, really long chunk of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know a lot about a genre you hate.
I mean, I recorded music for a long time, and it's one of the. It helps to know MIDI, even if you're
You
not
have to
going to
know
be,
MIDI.
you know, using a lot of electronic instruments. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of unavoidable.
Dude, that's epic. I'm really excited about that. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Before you said that, I had something on my mind, but I was just like, oh no, I want to hear about this new MIDI thing. Because any developments in that, and I'm excited.
Yeah, no, me too. Well, again, just because I didn't even know that they had never gotten to a version 2.0 of that. Like,
Dude, MIDI sucked. MIDI sucks. I can't believe these people actually make songs just by drawing in notes.
I know.
That's insane.
And yet at the same time, like it's kind of cool because, you know, you jump back a couple hundred years in music and, you know, you had to have it all in your head. And the only way you were ever going to hear it is if, you know, you got 24 musicians together to play it for you and everything. And it's,
Oh, that's crazy, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that, imagine that feeling. Oh, I have this piece in my head.
right.
Let me hire 12 orchestra players.
Exactly. So you imagine like, you know, the Baroque and classical and romantic composers like trying to put together their symphonies inside of their head and everything, and just having the faith that it was all going to line up properly and do exactly what they were hoping for and everything. And
Could you imagine them with the tools we have now?
Oh my
how much
God.
more music, how much better it would be?
oh yeah,
Like,
and
imagine
how
if
much more
Beethoven.
prolific it
Imagine
would
if
be.
Beethoven was a dubstep producer. We just never knew. You know what I'm saying?
Are
Like,
you sure he wasn't?
we probably have some modern
Bum, bum,
Beethoven.
bum, bum.
Dude, have you heard of Virtual Riot?
No, it's that.
Holy shit! This guy is a producer. He's like the god of MIDI.
Oh.
I randomly watched this video where it was like 4 producers flip the same sample, and it was like a random piano bar. And
Interesting.
he made this amazing electronic track, and I got into his music, and I was like he was so good that what they do is they all flip the sample, then all 4 producers listen to each other's samples. They don't rate who was best, but they just kind of listen to it. But you could just tell, like, I've never seen this look on someone else's face, but when one of the producers heard his track,
Yeah.
she had that look in her face like, I want to quit. like I'm not lying. Like he's that good that like even when I heard it, I was like, I'm glad I quit music. Like it was that good. So when I saw her face, she was like, she literally had a face of like, I will never be able to do this. Like it was that insane.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to your hate of EDM.
It's not so much a hate as it is like a mild loathing and disinterest.
So that's not what got you into Poi spinning.
No, it's
it
not.
wasn't like rolling at concerts and then someone spin Poi in your face and you were like, my life has changed.
I have never been to an EDM festival, never once.
That is crazy.
I know. No, it came from going to Burning Man back in, I think 2006 would have been my first year. And no, I had a friend from college that was going every year, and like every year, like clockwork, she'd just be like, you know, hey,
Every year, yeah.
you're going to come to Burning Man this year. You're going to come to Burning Man this year. And I would always kind of be like, yeah, you know, sure, whatever. And then, you know, just kind of, you know, wave it off and everything. And then, so we had this other mutual friend, and I love this man to death. He and I actually still get together every time I go back to Colorado, where I grew up, and you know we get together
nice.
and catch up and everything. And he is also like one of the squarest human beings that I know. No, and in a good way. You know,
everyone has those friends.
yeah, exactly. And so he decided this one year that he was going to Burning Man, and I'm like, oh, I've got to see this. And just to, you know, kind of date me on this and everything, I got my ticket 5 days before the event.
Is that even possible these days?
No, it's not. If you don't have your ticket by like, you know, probably February or March, then you're
Yeah, you can't even get in.
Exactly.
That was before Burning Man was cool.
I guess. I mean,
I
don't know when it was cool.
I don't know when it, yeah, I guess. Well, I think
It was cool the year before I went,
I
definitely.
think it was cool when it got into the Renwick Gallery.
Yes. Oh my God.
Jesus.
Yeah. I'm that exhibit was fantastic. They've still got the temple up in there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Everyone's like drawing on it and leaving pictures of their dead friends and stuff on the altars. I was like, whoa, this is real.
Yeah. No, my grandmother passed away last year, and I actually left a tribute to her in there because I didn't go to Burning Man this past year. But
it means that much to you?
oh yeah. No, I mean, Burning Man very, very literally
That's like a
changed my
religious.
life.
That's like a religious
Absolutely.
sort of notion of It's a very Catholic or any religion, I guess, does stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just it. Is like I don't reject the idea of ritual and its power in our lives and everything. I just don't think that there's a conscious entity that is like making the choices that make the world work or anything like that. But I definitely think that having those rituals where you pay homage to the things that mean something to you, and you create a space that's kind of inhabited by the energy of a lot of people all doing it at the same time is a good thing. I think it's a very human thing.
You're very analytical. I've noticed that.
Yes.
You're very analytical. I'm surprised you're not a scientist.
There was a close brush with that.
Oh, shit.
It may not. Both of my parents are scientists.
What?
Yeah, well-
okay, wait. Before we go there,
Yeah.
bring me back to the Burning Man story.
Yeah,
I
totally.
want to hear about this life-changing
I'm
experience.
so bad at tangents, so thank you for doing
Yeah.
that. So went to Burning Man, bought my ticket 5 days ahead of time, and I literally drove out 16 hours from Boulder, Colorado to the playa with a guy that I had met like the day before. This is like as Burning Man a story as you get, And we showed up there and everything. And I mean, number one, it was just such a beautiful place. I'd never seen art on the scale that they have
Really?
in Black Rock City before. It was also the first time that I'd ever seen fire dancing. There was a spin jam, basically like a whole bunch of people come together to, hang out and spin fire and everything. It's what you saw at that party that our friend took you to. And like just seeing the kind of joy that people had there doing it really like made an impression on me. And I can still remember the person that like really made this sink in for me. She was a fire hooper. I didn't even, in my mind, the geometry of like making a hula hoop work with fire just like didn't work for me. And then I saw it actually happen. I'm like, oh, I gotcha. Like there's, you've seen it. They've got like little wicks on the ends of spokes that they connect to it and everything, like a bike wheel. And she was very clearly a beginner. She was just like trying to keep the hula hoop up around her waist. But oh my God, the smile on her face, just like the sheer unmitigated joy. And that was what kind of drew me in.
Whoa, so you could see that you were there, I guess. Were you on drugs when you were watching this? I'm curious.
No.
Damn, what the hell, man? What were you doing at Burning Man?
I know, right?
So you just saw how elated all these people were spinning fire.
Yeah, and like this woman in particular, just like seeing that joy just coming from the core of her, that gigantic smile on her face and everything. And that's what kind of started me on that route. And then on burn night, when they burn the titular man, the opening act is what they call Fire Conclave. It's a bunch of fire performance troops from all over the world that audition to be a part of this event.
Ah, okay. So that's what they were like. That was the thing at that burn that I met you at, is they were talking about the conclave.
Yeah. So our mutual friend, she's a part of the DC area conclave that I helped found. And conclave was what really did it for me, is just like seeing all of these performances around the man is one of these sites that, I mean, that is a memory that I'm going to cherish from now until I reach my grave. Like, it was just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life.
I think there needs to be like some description around the man. Like, so give me
Sure.
it's
So we've got the man, and
which is
so it's about a 40-foot tall wooden effigy of a man that has neon lights on it and everything, and it's central to the event both literally and figuratively.
because that's the whole point of Burning Man, is at the end of it they burn it.
Right, exactly.
And if you don't know that by now from Burning Man, then you're a retard. I'm sorry. Then you are just very unsmart. Excuse my vocab.
Or lack of context awareness.
Okay. So giant effigy of dude.
Yeah, giant effigy of a man. And I mean, it's not like set in stone, this means this or anything like that. Kind of people just kind of ascribe to it whatever meaning they want to and everything. And there's a circle perimeter around the man that goes out probably 100 to 120 feet. And the last like 40 feet of that, they basically like have these different pie slices that are divvied up between all these different performance groups.
The conclaves.
Yeah, exactly. And a half an hour before they're ready to start the man burning, they tell all of them to start at the same time. So you just see this massive fire show start on the rim of this
and
giant
each conclave is like, what, 10 to 15 people?
No, so the local area conclave is about 10 to 15 people, but traditionally they can be as many as 50.
Whoa. So there's
so much fire.
So just all the way around this thing, it all just lights
Yeah.
up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
For like a half an hour, they just put on the best show that they can
Because they train for that. Like, this is serious. Like, this isn't just like, okay, conclave, come up, and they all just like start fumbling. Like, no, they literally train
you spend like
for months.
5 or 6 months writing your choreography to get out there and do this. It is such an amazing spectacle. Yeah, this time I was on drugs though.
Thank you. About time.
Yeah, right. No, and just like watching these performances around the man. It was finally like number one, it was just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and number two, it was finally like, I'm going to learn how to do this.
Dang, that was it.
Yeah, which is very weird because I have never had that inclination. Well, I had that inclination with music, but there haven't been that many things in my life that I've been like, oh, I'm going to do that now, you know? And after I got back from Burning Man, I went around to all my Colorado friends and I'm just like, hey, you know that thing with the fire at Burning Man? Do we know anybody that knows how to do that? Do we know anybody who can teach me how to do that? And I did this for a few months, and finally there was a friend who was just like, what, you mean poi? And they literally could have said any word whatsoever, but it just was like, okay, that sounds vaguely exotic. That's probably what I'm talking about. Yeah, I want to learn poi. And that's how much of an accident it is that I got into this.
Wow.
Yeah.
A Burning Man trip.
Yeah.
Into that. And so what happened? You started spinning poi. Like, I guess you found out from that guy and you just looked it up. Like, how did you just...
No, so...
How does this happen? What's the development here?
Okay, so the development is that, so my friend who said poi was like, yeah, our friend, he went by the name Salty.
That's an awesome name.
Yeah.
Not as cool as Drex, though.
No, I lucked out there. That's for sure. Ironically enough, the person who brought me to Burning Man is the one who gave me that nickname.
Shit.
Yeah.
2 in 1.
Indeed.
Branded you and changed your life.
I know. Isn't it amazing? So I was told that Salty knew how to spin poi, and I talked to him and he was happy to teach me. And I showed up for my first lesson, and it was 2 hours of trying to teach me one trick, and I could not get it for the life of me.
Oh, that pissed me off.
And I just gave up. I'm like, okay, this is for people who are more coordinated than me. And my roommate at the time, he went to Thailand for Christmas, and when he came back, he'd gotten a pair of fire poi to street market there. They actually like
coincidence,
right?
And
these things are like total death traps. They're made from like sawed off electrical conduit and
from Thailand.
Oh my god,
this is not Kevlar.
This is not Kevlar. No. No, and he like that was his Christmas present to me. He's like, hey, you wanted to learn this, right? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So. Yeah, so I started spinning them again because, I mean, it was really sweet of him, and I would have felt bad if I hadn't at least given it another try. And we found out that there was a fire jam, a weekly spin jam, that was happening just down the street from us on the 16th Street Mall in Denver. And so I started going there every Sunday, and I think it was really like the people and connecting with the people in the fire community that really made it stick that time.
All very nice people.
Oh, they're amazing people. I would really love to like do a deep dive on the psychology of this, of like the kind of people who are like so down for trying to whip a burning object around their body. Yeah. And there's just something about that makes them incredibly sweet and incredibly welcoming and just like really awesome human beings, you know?
Maybe it's kind of like how fighters are really nice people.
Yeah.
It's like they take out that primal thing.
Yeah.
And so then afterwards it's just very peaceful and tranquil.
That's
because spinning fire is badass. Like, I'm not gonna lie, seeing it in person and just seeing it on the internet are two different things.
Oh, totally.
Like when I saw someone
the noise.
It's the noise.
Yeah.
Like that is crazy.
It sounds like you got a jet engine around you.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's hypnotizing.
Yeah. Well, and the first few times you do it and everything, the adrenaline rush that you get from it is just like, you're shaking for quite a long time afterwards. But that's what finally made it stick for me. And I started The people who were there were really awesome and everything, but there was only so much that they could teach me.
Of course.
And right about this time, there's a gentleman from Canada, Nick Woolsey, who started posting Poi tutorials on YouTube, which was relatively new at this time.
Wow.
And that's how I taught myself.
Whoa.
And after about a year of that, I started posting my own videos to YouTube and kind of fell ass backwards into a career as a result of it.
Yeah, I think that's the craziest part about it in the best way possible is that you've turned it into a career.
Yeah, which that's not a common thing either.
How did that conversation go with your two scientist parents? Not that it matters, well. like you need their approval, but of course you're going to tell them what you're doing, you know?
Right. I mean, so fire dancing now is my third creative career. I started off as a comic book illustrator, and then I became a musician, and then now this. So I think on a certain level, they're kind of used to
you doing creative things,
me following creative things. At the same time, that's not a thing they're like 100% on board with. I mean, they understand that I'm passionate about it and everything, but I think they really wish that I'd gone for like a good government job or something like that.
So it's like niche.
It is so niche.
Because in that niche, you're a god.
I don't know about a god, but
are you the biggest person in that niche?
I think Nick is still probably.
He's the OG.
He's the OG. Yeah, he got there first. But
have you met him?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice.
I got to meet him a few years ago. The one time that I went and traveled and taught in Canada, and it just by sheer random coincidence, he and I wound up at the same event, and I actually got to interview him like this for like an hour.
Whoa.
And he and I sat down like over a couple lunches and everything, and just like had a huge deep dive with each other, and it was really inspiring on the one hand to kind of like because. As in similar to me, he had like kind of fallen into it accidentally. Like he is definitely the stereotype of kind of like the wandering hippie that just like, found it as he was traveling the world and everything.
Boy, dude, it's great. Works out.
Exactly. Yeah. In a lot of respects, there was kind of like seeing reflections of some of the things that had happened to me because, it was not his plan. This was not my plan originally. And at the same time, too, there were some sad parts to that because he was really the trailblazer in a lot of respects. And, he had to make a lot of mistakes along the way and learn from those mistakes. And sometimes that cost him a lot personally. And sometimes, it was incredibly successful and he made, some really incredible things happen. And it was both inspiring as well as one of those like, okay, so... these are some things to kind of avoid and to think ahead on and everything.
But someone's got to pioneer. Someone had to play basketball with an actual wooden bucket for a hoop,
Exactly.
Before there was LeBron James. Like, so he had to do it, but it's like, we can only be grateful and, honor him whenever you can, I guess.
Absolutely.
So shout out to
Nick Woolsey because
shout out Nick Woolsey.
Yeah, you're the reason that I got so into Poi.
So how does it go from posting videos on YouTube to becoming a full-time career? Like, that is what I want to know. Like,
yeah.
That is the sauce. That is just impressive, dude.
So I remember like sorry, this is going to feel like it's a tangent, but it's not. Bear with me.
Let's go there. Yeah.
Okay,
Let's go there.
I remember when I was like deep into music and I really wanted to be a rock star and everything. And I really, I would look at bands that I really respected and everything and just like think of it as there's this on-off switch and there's like being unknown and then there's success and it's just like boom, like
hot or cold.
Exactly. Yeah. And
no middle. And nowadays looking back on it, it is definitely a thing of there's no on or off. There's this kind of like slow burn that happens for a while and just all of a sudden you look around and everybody's telling you that you've made it. And it's like, oh, when did that happen? Whoa.
And so how this worked out for me was that I started posting these videos to YouTube. Again, it was kind of on a lark. Really what it was is it was an excuse for me to practice. I figured if I post a video every week and I like kind of make this a thing, I've got to have something new to show in those videos. So I've got to practice every week to make sure that I got something new to show.
Yeah, you're like held accountable by the video.
Exactly. Yeah. And I actually like didn't do anything with those videos. I didn't tell anybody that I was making them. And there was another guy in the Poi world who was really big at that time. Hats off to Alien John.
Shout out Alien John.
Shout out to Alien John. And at one point, I had a conversation with him online because there was like a forum that he was on that he posted something I thought was really interesting. And we kind of struck up a conversation. And I don't think that I pointed it into my videos. I think he might have just found them on his own. And
Word, yeah, he was in that community.
yeah, exactly. And I literally just woke up one day and all of a sudden, like, the hit counts had gone from, like, 5 to 100. And I'm like, what is going on here? And it turned out that what had happened is somebody on one of these forums had asked a question about one of the tricks that I was demoing in these videos. And he had posted the links on the forum to my videos.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden I had
That was
an
the pop.
audience. Yeah, that was the first time anybody was actually watching these things, and so I kept it up, and the kind of big aha moment for me happened probably a year after that. I was traveling through Europe, and I'd gone to the regional burn there. Is called Nowhere. They have it in Spain. And the European Juggling Convention had happened pretty close by. And so after the burn, I'm back in Barcelona hanging out and everything, and I've got some extra fuel that I want to burn off. And so I go down to the waterfront and I start spinning and everything, and there's a guy who passes me on a bicycle and is like, people are doing that in the city center, right? I'm like, really? Can you take me there? And there were a whole bunch of people from the European Juggling Convention, including Alien John. And again, no idea that either one of us was there. And we just, caught up and shot the shit. And he taught me a bunch of the stuff that he had learned at the EJC. And when I came home, the first thing I did was I did a YouTube video showing off all that stuff and everything. And it dawned on me after that went live and people started watching it that the people who'd made up these tricks and everything, at this time, video cams were still not that terribly common. You couldn't get them in a smartphone or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So it was really rare that these people were actually posting content to the internet.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, posting YouTube content was mystifying.
Exactly.
How do I do it? How do I export?
Totally. And I mean, I knew nothing about video editing. It was literally like I had a point and shoot camera that had a video function on it, and I would sit it down and record myself for 10 minutes. And then,
whatever it was, it didn't matter.
Yeah, put that into iPhoto and then upload it straight to YouTube. No editing, no nothing. It was just as raw as you could get. And there was this moment where I realized these people don't really have the opportunity to put this information out there to others. It might be a year or two before they get, access to a video camera or, they can do this in a more formalized fashion and everything. And I'm like, I'm getting to communicate this to a bigger audience. There's tons of people out there that want to learn these things, and they don't have access to these people in Europe who are not making these videos and everything, right?
It's a lack of information, lack of content.
Exactly. And I kind of had this moment where I'm like, oh, I can turn this into doing a service for people. And so that's what it turned into. I started posting tutorials of tricks that I already knew how to do, and I kept, doing a weekly video.
But that first pop came from that video from Alien John.
That was the aha moment.
Oh, so Alien John, make the video, post it on the forum.
Yeah.
Aha moment.
Oh no, this was later on after going to Barcelona.
Which part?
The pop moment of I can do people a service.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So the aha moment on the audience was after Alien John posted to the forum, and the aha moment on I can turn this into a service for other people was after that trip to Barcelona.
Oh wow! Because you saw the lack in the market and the land grab.
Exactly.
So I mean, I think that probably has a huge impact on your success now.
Yes,
because you
absolutely.
did it while it was young, while it was hot. So in a lot of ways, you're an OG, I guess, to people.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean. And when I see people talking about the people online who produce content and everything, I see my name popping up next to Nick's a lot. And I think in people's minds, we both kind of occupy a very similar position. And that's also when I finally knew that I had made it. This guy was kind of my platonic ideal of what, the top shelf flow artist looks like and everything. And if people are mentioning us in the same sentence, okay, that's probably a good sign.
Yeah. So how many years have you been in the game now?
I have been posting YouTube videos now for a little over 10 years. My 10-year anniversary was in September.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's been a while.
How many subs do you have? I'm just curious. I haven't looked.
43,000, I want to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And 13,000 of those were just in 2018 alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But what's nuts about that is that number seems low to today's standards.
Yes.
But you have a strong following.
Yes.
And not so much as a wide following.
Right.
Which is the beauty of niches.
Exactly. And I mean, we are talking the niche of the niche here. So because I love numbers and I love analyzing things, I started doing benchmarking after a little while of myself and other flow artists on YouTube and everything. And like right now, Nick's the only guy who's ahead of me in terms of subs and views.
Now we finally get to get into it. You're a freaking ninja with online marketing and business and entrepreneurship, even more so than myself. I mean, do you think without that you wouldn't have been able to build such a business that you've built now? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, like thinking of it in terms of data and like on, you know, if I'm going to try X, Y, and Z and seeing how I change these variables and what happens as a result of that. Yeah, no, that and consistency, I think, are the two cornerstones of the business and brand that I've been able to build for myself, without a doubt.
Well, I think consistency over time wins anyways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But you take it to the next level of making it like a job, profitable, off of Spinning Poi, which is nuts because to tell someone that's your job, but then you say, wait a minute, no, I make good money, bitch. Like you don't know.
Well, I make survivable money. But
yeah, but you still have to do something that you like and you've learned to do it. What is it that you do on the internet marketing side that is there one thing that contributes to the most success? Because you said you got 13,000 subs last year. That's huge, dude.
Yeah. So last year, definitely my focus was on growing as much as I possibly could. And I think like just getting so deeply into the weeds in terms of like YouTube SEO and figuring out how to reach a wider audience and popping up in search and everything. And also figuring out how to pop within the first 24 hours because that view velocity thing is so important.
Really? Tell me about this.
Sure. So basically whenever you post a video to YouTube and everything, the YouTube algorithm is going to look through it and it's going to grab your title, description, and tags. And based upon that, it's going to start putting you in search results. And it's also going to put you in, the home feeds of people who are subscribed to you, or maybe they've watched other videos that are similar and everything, right? And what they're looking for is they're looking for the rate of engagement, how many clicks you get off of popping, right? And they want to see a certain level of engagement within those first 24 hours. And if they don't see it, then it's really hard to come back from that.
Yeah, because to them, they're saying that people want to look at it. Let me promote this. If not, then they go, it's like a yes or no probably.
Right, exactly. And I first started learning SEO by thinking of it in terms of like the stuff that appears in the titles, tags, and description and everything, which is absolutely really important. But last year finally reinforced to me that like, really, when you get down to it, the two most important variables for getting your video to eyeballs are the thumbnail and the title. Like,
really?
Yeah, because you have to get that click right away.
I mean, I kind of knew that, and which is why clickbait exists.
Exactly.
But what was your approach that changed it? What was the
a few things. So one thing that really helped is I started using a service called Morning Fame.
Oh yeah, you linked me with that.
Yeah.
My shit expired, so I had to stop using it, but it was great.
Yeah, no, it's a great service. And one of the things I really like about it is that it lets you do research on particular search terms, and it will pop up all of the different videos that are associated with those search terms and lets you take a look a little bit under the hood to see like what are the other tags these things are popping on, number one.
We'll see what like the popular ones, what they're doing.
Exactly. And also one thing that they do, which is fantastic, is, you know, when you're planning out everything around your keywords, it'll give you just the top 6 thumbnails that pop up for that particular term.
That's got to be super useful.
Yeah, totally.
Actually, I remember that. They would send me an email and they say, these are the top thumbnails for your thing. Does yours stand out? And
exactly.
I honestly thought it did, but I could have been biased.
Well, and part of it is standing out, but part of it is also realizing what people are clicking on already, you know? There have been several videos that I've seen those thumbnails pop up, and it actually changed my approach to how I was going to do the thumbnail for a particular thing. One example is kind of my default template for my thumbnails is I'll like, you know, have a waist up shot of me like demonstrating a trick and everything, and the title of it will be right next to me, right? And
that's what you do now.
Usually, yeah. And there are exceptions. And this is one of those examples where there was an exception that that turned out to be really helpful. I'm trying to remember what video it was, but we'll just kind of talk in generalizations here. But I remember one of the videos that popped up on that on that set of results was actually like a long exposure photograph of somebody performing that trick. So you could see the trails of the poi pattern and everything, right? And I shoot all my B-roll in such a way that I can add trails in post if I want to. So what I did was I just went back to my B-roll and I took footage of myself demoing the trick, and I threw some post-production trails on it and everything, and that then became the center point of the thumbnail. Sure enough, it popped.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking of clickbait titles while you were talking, and I was like, don't show this trick to someone tripping balls.
Right.
Like, show like how to impress your girl with poi tricks. Like, I was thinking it was like the most clickbait shit.
Yeah.
Like,
well, so the clickbaity thing that I do that I found was really good for building an audience was actually to be like, okay, top 10 beginner poi tricks, you know?
dude, people love titles with tutorials and stuff like that. I noticed that about myself is that was a big game changer. Was I did exactly what you were talking about. I did research on other people's successful podcasts, and that changed how I did everything.
Oh, totally, yeah.
I looked at my top favorite podcasts and ones that were doing great and rising the best. I said, okay, well, this is where they would put the person's 3-4 like almost headshot on the thumbnail. So I put me next to them on the thumbnail. And then for the title, I was looking at Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast.
Yeah.
And his titles are different. A lot of traditional people will put like Joe Rogan episode 333.
Right. And that doesn't tell you anything.
It doesn't tell you anything. But what Logan Paul would do is he would go, the craziest man ever, or like more clickbaity shit, like how this guy wrestles anacondas. And I was like, that's more important because at the end of the day, no one knows who the fuck Bruce Allen is or Drex Factor is unless you already know. So I have to put something attention grabbing.
Exactly.
And that changes the views as well.
Totally. The vlog that I had go live this morning, the title is "This Makes Me So Happy."
Yeah.
And absolutely nothing else. And now people are like, oh, what makes Drex happy? I want to find that out.
Yeah. Like it's crazy. But even my normal videos, besides the interviews that I've kind of figured out, is that if I post like BTS, let's say I just did a shoot here and I just film BTS, yo, what's up guys? Some cool B-roll, shit like that, I don't know my style. I can't put BTS photo shoot.
Yeah.
No one wants to watch that shit.
Exactly.
So if it's an e-commerce shoot, I gotta put like how to shoot for fashion editorial e-commerce.
Right.
Because it's
how-to videos.
The how-to titles are the killers.
They're
when I look at
godsend,
when I look at my top videos, it's my crazy one that went viral last month, but then they're all how-tos.
Yeah.
They're all fashion editorial with how-to in it. So now all my BTS is all how-to something in that world.
That's awesome. And you're totally doing like Gary V playbook there too, of like trying to get the content to fit in this one box that is really, really good for getting the eyeballs and everything. That's clever. I like that.
What do you mean? I wasn't really thinking about that, but I do love Gary Vee.
Yeah, the way that he repurposes content, you know, the way that he talks about like documenting your process and turning that into.
Oh yeah, no, it's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. I turned that into something, and then that creates that's been my premise since I started was Gary Vee.
Totally,
like he was the OG on all this shit.
Yeah.
What do you know about the tags? So when that's something that it seems very mystifying is the tagging. When I'm in that little box, I'm like, do I do a fuck ton? Do I just do 10 good ones? Like, what's your strategy on the whole tagging of videos?
Sure. So this is basically, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's the same algorithm as it is on Google, where it is looking for multi-term kind of searches, right? So in the grand scheme of things, if I upload a Poi video and I put the tag Poi on that, I am competing with so many hundreds of thousands of other videos, and the likelihood of my one video like kind of getting through the mess is not that high. Let's say for the sake of argument that instead I make my tag how to do Poi snakes. Now, there's 5 words in there. And each one gets progressively more detailed in terms of what people might be looking for.
Narrows down the variables of the videos you're looking for.
So if you can, in your tags, make sure that you never have a tag that's any fewer than any fewer than 3 words.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been doing all single words like they were hashtags.
Yeah, no, there's a place for hashtags in the description, and that's
I've learned that. Yeah, it's only 3 or something.
Yeah, but no, the tags, think of it as Google search terms.
Oh, so what do you think I should be putting like for this podcast? Should I put like Poi Spinning with Drex? Drex Factor spins Poi. Like should I just repeat that list and be like Drex Factor blows my mind, or like interview with Drex Factor?
I mean, interview with Drex Factor should be in there. Yes.
Okay.
Drex Factor interview, Drex interview. Like you want to have a few variations on that and everything.
Okay. So I should be like photographer podcast.
Right. Or like Burning Man stories.
Oh.
how to build a small business, things like that.
Okay, do that. You changed the game up with me on that one. I literally after this interview, I'm gonna be posting another interview. I'm gonna go in on the search terms and look at those results.
Hell yes. Another tip. Don't change it in the first 24 hours. After the first 24 hours, go ahead and do it. But in the first, because the algorithm is looking for people to try and game it within those first 24 hours. So if you start changing that stuff, it's gonna punish you for it.
Oh, so I never change that. Sometimes it'll be like a link that I forgot to put in, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But you mean the keywords? Don't fuck with the keywords.
Don't fuck with the keywords within the first 24 hours.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. See, we got thumbnails and captions. We got keywords. What were my other things?
Well, we didn't talk about captions, but those are also important.
Really?
Closed captions, yeah.
Really? Tell me about this. This is a hack I haven't heard about.
So long ago, it was like a few years ago, it was a thing that, so the kind of deep learning algorithms that are involved in popping YouTube search terms and everything, very clearly they can't like watch your video in the same way that a human being can to see if it's relevant to their interest. So they're looking for specific terms to pop up in order to put you in search results. And, you know, tags, descriptions, and titles are very obvious examples of that. But once upon a time, they were also looking through closed captions to see what you were actually saying in the video.
But you have to write in your own closed captions.
It does it automatically.
Really?
It's not very good at it, but it does do captions automatically. And this is now part of my workflow is whenever I'm doing a tutorial or a list video or what have you, I actually start with the script and I like do it off a teleprompter and everything. And I just upload the script to YouTube to use as subtitles and closed captions.
So you're saying YouTube crawls your verbal script?
It used to. That's not as big a thing anymore.
Okay.
But the thing that it is really helpful for is it's really helpful for getting views from non-English speakers.
Oh, so wait, it doesn't auto-translate, does it?
No, it doesn't. But people who are like passingly familiar with English, 9 times out of 10, they've got an easier time reading it off of subtitles than they do getting it through kind of spoken word and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know any other languages, but like I speak quite a bit of Spanish and I know some Czech and a very, very small amount of Finnish. Mm-hmm. And it's always easier for me to understand like a sign than it is what somebody's saying, you know?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been watching a lot of anime, so I think I know some Japanese now.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Been really into this Academy or My Hero Academia. Anyways.
I used to love anime and I just haven't watched a lot of it lately.
I haven't been into it, but I've watched it. I just recently got into it because I was just bored. I was like for something.
Yeah.
Found it. I watched it before the gym. I was so pumped.
I can imagine.
I was like in my mind, I was like, plus ultra.
Just telling me you're doing the Naruto run on the treadmill.
I was doing squats and I was like thinking, I was like, I could do it too.
Hell yeah.
But wow, this is some great YouTube gold. Any other tips and tricks you got?
I mean, so search optimization, that was kind of like the first point where I started to kind of uncover some gold for my YouTube channel. And that was about 2 years ago. The thing that really was the game changer for me last year was looking for search volume. Because not every search term that you try and target is created equal. Mm-hmm. So you want to look for stuff that you don't just necessarily want to rank on particular searches. So, for example, if you're posting the tag for this Drex Factor interview, I don't know how many people are going to be looking for Drex Factor interview.
That's very true.
Exactly. So, like maybe something like interview small business or something like that is likely to have more of a search volume attached to it. So it's a question not just of like being able to pop on those particular search terms, but finding the search terms that have enough volume to actually make it worthwhile.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the caption. I was thinking back to the caption, like what's the most relatable caption that someone would Google or someone would search on YouTube and be like,
totally. Well, and there's definitely search volume associated with that. And this is one of the reasons why I love Morning Fame so much is when I'm looking up particular keywords and tags and things that I'm interested in pursuing, it'll actually give me a grade on how big the search volume is for it.
Do you think replying to comments has any impact?
Oh, absolutely. Like yeah.
And what about the description? Is there a strategy for description?
Basically, you number one, get as close as you can to repeating your title within the first paragraph of your description. Like really within the first 3 lines if you can. Pardon me. And
is that because it doubles it doubles the search?
well, it's again, it's looking for relevancy. So if you've got, if you've got this particular search term that you're trying to pop for, and it's in your tags, and it's in that first 3 lines of your description, and it's in your title, boom.
Oh, it's 3 ways. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Makes the algorithm happy. When I first started getting into SEO, I thought it was better to like kind of diversify and everything, and it turns out that that's not the case. You actually do want to repeat the things.
For a description, yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to start doing that. And then I do the 3 hashtags in there now. I'll put like hashtag podcast, hashtag interview, hashtag the Bruce Allen. Probably not the best ones, but
well, the Bruce Allen is good because you're building a brand there. And you have an audience. So.
Yeah, so I thought maybe if someone looks me up, this
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then I do a bunch of links to Instagrams, and I'll link all your stuff as well. So maybe do you think that maybe that creates backlinks or something? I don't know.
Not really. I mean, yeah, I don't think it works that way. I've never actually looked into that, but that'd be an interesting question to answer.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I definitely have a lot of links in mind, like to kind of companies that I have affiliate links with, and playlists of like beginner poi and things like that. But
so I imagine you don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but do you make? I don't think you make all your money from the YouTube ads.
No, most of my income comes from Patreon.
Ah, really?
Yeah. And I just topped $1,000 a month this month.
Congrats, my dude.
Thank you.
That's epic. But I know you have things on top of that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Affiliate income is one of them.
So that means
AdSense, of course, and AdSense is going really well too.
What do you mean AdSense?
So advertisements on my YouTube videos.
Oh yeah. YouTube AdSense.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm making $5 this month. I just got it from my
nice.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't the whole point, but I was just really stoked to have monetization.
Right. Oh man, yeah. I remember when I first got the monetization email and just feeling like, yes, amazing. No, and I know that like the first month and everything, it's kind of like, really? But at the same time, like, especially with the restrictions they have now on that and everything.
Oh my God, it's insane.
No, that's a great accomplishment, dude. You're doing a great job building an audience.
Oh yeah, it took me 2 years to hit 1,000.
Yeah.
But I now it's just exponential. It's crazy.
Oh, I know. Totally.
It's crazy how it works.
Yeah. You look at the graphs of like followers and views and everything, and it just like, and it always is just a question of like, how deep is the curve, you know?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels so satisfying. To post
good.
videos.
Yes. That's what I like to hear.
But in a very narcissistic way. Like in a way that's almost bad.
Yeah.
Like I love clicking on that creator studio tab and looking at my views for video, but if it's not where I thought it'd be, I'm like,
I know. No, and this is awful. I have this problem like literally every time I have a video that goes live is like I will wake up like super early. My body will just like, get up at like 5 or 6 in the morning, and I'll just like turn over and open up YouTube Studio and be like, okay, how am I doing so far?
It's crazy, that whole side of putting out content.
And, there's definitely a lot has been written about the kind of like narcissism of like, people like me and everything. But I think that what gets a lot less ink is, I see the likes and I see and I see the view count in the comments, and that's not like, oh my God, this makes me feel so good about myself. It's like, wow, these are people that I was able to reach and that I provided a service for.
That is very cool. That's the satisfying part.
Absolutely.
People assume it's all negative and vain, but it's like, no, it's like, it's actually really satisfying because that means I get to share this with people.
Oh my God. Yeah. I had an experience on my my Instagram on Tuesday. I uploaded a albums tutorial, and there was a kid who sent me video of himself like getting down the trick on his Instagram.
I saw
stories
that.
And everything.
That was really cool.
Oh my God.
That's gonna be such a cool feeling.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, this kid lives in Brazil. There's no way I would have met this kid otherwise.
Dude, that I've had that happen. Like that's been happening to me. People will DM me from freaking France.
That's awesome.
Somewhere, and they'll be like, "Yo, I loved your videos. I love your stuff, man." They reach out to me, and that part feels so good.
Absolutely,
like it makes my day sometimes. Like
absolutely,
when someone DMs me,
this kid,
like when someone DMs me, like, "Yo, I love your content." I'm like, "Yo, that means so much." Like it's insane.
That is definitely something that has been a big focus for me coming into 2019 because like growth was definitely the word that guided a lot of my actions in 2018. And I actually kind of like reached a point by the fourth quarter where I like started to burn out on it, and I just didn't.
You're going hard, yeah.
I was going super hard, and it also was one of those things that after a while, I just didn't feel good about the content that I was creating. You know, I'm like, is this actually worth anybody's time? And I kind of meditated on that.
Like you were making content specifically for views and stuff?
Exactly.
Not so much, I enjoyed making that video.
Right. I mean, there were things that I created in 2018 that were like very meaningful to me, that I felt like I had made huge gains on creatively and grown as an editor or as a dancer or what have you. And, you know, and some of them just like didn't pop. And then there would be this other thing that I was like really clearly trawling the search algorithm and everything. And it, you know, after a little bit of that, it just gets to be like, you know, it feels like, why am I doing this, you know? And I had to sit on that for a while. And ultimately what I realized was the thing that I loved the most about it was seeing other people like apply the things that I had created. Like this kid from Brazil sending me the video and everything. So this year, the focus has been way more on trying to create things that are more interactive, that are going to get people sending me things that they're proud of. Because ultimately, that's the real thrill I get out of this, is knowing that I have done something that made somebody else happy, you know? And I think at one point it was like seeing the view counts and the likes that did that for me. And now it's starting to move further into, you know, I want to see people participating and like seeing them apply it in their own
I've learned that
lives.
it's like a balance for me. Like I have to do some clickbaity shit so it goes so people watch my good shit.
Oh yeah, you have to.
You know, like I've just started reporting on like the fashion world.
Yeah.
And if I do it very quick and timely, then it'll pop.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden people watch my interviews.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, thank God I have to do it. It kind of sucks sometimes, but it's like low investment video making. And I just rant, but I found that because I have to do that sometimes to get people to watch this stuff.
Totally.
So it's almost weird. Like you have to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah, I think that the lesson for me in 2018 was just that, you know, yeah, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. That doesn't mean you got to do it all the time.
Very true.
Yeah.
So what's the 2019 goal?
The 2019 goal.
Make that money, bitch.
Yes. I mean, that's definitely goal number one.
That's always the goal.
That's goal number one for sure. So a couple things. Number one is to increase interactivity. I want to have more videos that get more comments, get more people.
Did you make that flex video?
That flex video?
I was like, bro, you need to make a video where you just flex on people, your skills. Like you just got to pop off, put some dope fucking dubstep, you know, like use someone's dubstep or maybe not, because that might fuck you. So just use some cool dubstep and just flex on people. And that would be like, and you could clickbait that so hard.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of did. I didn't use dubstep because hashtag hate EDM, but
dude,
I've been uploading more videos of myself just like going to town.
Fuck yeah.
And
that's sweet.
Because it's a Thursday. One of the things I've been doing is every Thursday I've been like uploading to my Instagram and my stories and everything. It's like, you know,
you're on the story game. I noticed how you came in, you did the story. I was like, I didn't even do my story. Shit, I'll do it after the interview.
We can do that for sure. No, but like basically like coming up with a combo where I'm just like, you know, showing off what I can do in terms of like stringing together stuff and finding flow and everything, and making it a challenge for other people. It's like, hey, learn this combo, and like I'll include in the stories all the individual tricks that are a part of it and everything.
Oh, it gives them something to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been getting people sending me videos of themselves doing these combos from Russia, Ukraine. There was a guy from Iran. I mean,
but that's awesome because that combo creates huge, like that has a lot of deep impact.
Absolutely.
You know, also, yo, where'd you learn that combo? Yo, Drex on Thursday. You know, like that's that long-term thing that's going to happen for you.
Totally.
It's that random thing.
Well, and it's also an opportunity to cross-pollinate content, because if I'm showing a trick off that somebody doesn't know, I can also, you know, because I'm above 10,000 followers, I can like have the swipe up link to my YouTube tutorial on it. So it's a wonderful opportunity to see other people applying the things that I'm teaching. Great opportunity to flex.
Yeah.
I get to show off these combos I'm coming up with and everything.
Gotta let people know you're the master. You know? Gotta let people know who the OG is.
Right. And it's an opportunity to get people to check out other content too.
Well, then it's also, I feel like it's not so salesy all the time.
Exactly.
Not that you are, but I'm just saying that that can happen a lot with people who have made these businesses, especially the whole online marketing part.
Yeah. And that is a thing that I still struggle with. I've done a lot of lead magnets on my YouTube channel and everything. And you know, sometimes they pop and sometimes they don't. And improving it as a salesman is definitely something that I have a lot of room to grow on.
Yeah, same here, man.
Yeah.
Like I try to take the Gary Vee approach, like just create content and it'll happen. But then sometimes like, well, I need money, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I have to, you know, I'm trying to get some sponsors for the podcast. I'd love a couple extra $100 a month. You
Absolutely.
know, like it's like,
Yeah.
can just throw out content all the time, but it helps.
It does help. Absolutely, it does.
What's your marketing strategy? Do you use like Facebook ads, Instagram ads to promo your stuff? What's your idea with that?
Never on my videos. Like, so what I tend to find is I get decent enough discovery as it is that I don't worry that much about like growing the audience. The audience is growing anyway. Pardon me. What I use the ads for is, so for example, one of the things that's happening this year is I've got a workshop tour that I'm doing in March where I'm going to be touring through the Midwest and everything. And I'm going to be taking kind of the assets that I'm using for advertising that and putting some ad dollars behind them for a few reasons. The biggest one being that it's going to help me reach eyeballs that I wouldn't have reached otherwise.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, well, you'd be dumb not to do that.
Exactly. And
how else are you going to reach poi spinners in the Midwest? Are people even interested?
Totally. And this has been a big part of me growing my in-person classes here in the DC area. And, you know, I remember I took like a 2 or 3 year hiatus on that because the income wasn't balancing out the cost and everything. And a big part of the reason for that was I just didn't have a good way of kind of reaching the eyeballs that I needed to with it, because you don't just, I mean, absolutely you want to reach your fans, because who is most likely to, you know, show up to learn from you in person and everything.
But you also want new people coming in. That's the important part. It's like keep your fans happy, but then how do you bring in new people to your world?
Right.
Or even just people interested for a little bit.
Oh, totally. And like using Facebook and Instagram ads for reaching those people, like finally made me realize that just, you know, before we had social media, we were in the dark ages in terms of like reaching people via advertising. It was literally throwing darts at a board and hoping you hit a bullseye, you know?
That's interesting, because I was just curious how you built the business around this, and whether it was just like your crazy ad savagery or your lead magnets or what it was, because
all the above.
Yeah, it's
so many pieces.
You're not just spinning poi mindlessly. People like, it's like, guys, he's not just smoking weed and spinning poi. I don't even know if he smokes weed.
I don't smoke weed.
Yeah, this guy's.
I'm the most boring flow artist ever.
You're a ninja with this stuff. Like you're like, okay, I got this video, but how do I market it?
Right.
The correct terms, the word, the title. It's like you're almost getting it down to a science in a weird way of like, this is how you do it. This is how you make your hobby your business. This is how you make your niche hobby your business.
Yeah. And I mean, in theory, if all the pieces come together, you know, I've got my online courses that I sell for people, you know, wanting to learn in a more structured fashion and everything. So you take one component of that and you create a tutorial around it that you post to YouTube, and you make sure at the end of it, you tell people, hey, if you like learning this trick, I'll show you 3 other things that you can do with it in this course right here, and see if you can get them to click through. And in theory, that's how it works, right?
In theory.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works out for you. Does it work out for you?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Some lead magnets have worked better than others. But I mean, my lead magnets getting people to sign up for my list usually do really well.
Do you do merch and stuff like that too?
I used to. God, I hate the process of like fulfillment and everything. And I know that you can outsource that and everything.
Drop shipping, baby.
I know. The problem is that like the volume of sales that you get in the flow arts, because we're so incredibly niche, it's kind of difficult to make that really pay off for itself. I used to make and sell sets of poi myself.
Well, now that would make sense.
Yeah, and it's time consuming. It is profitable, but it is time consuming. It's not easily automated. Like, you know, you're literally drilling holes into contact juggling balls and forcing rope through and everything.
Oh yeah, it's just like it's not worth the hassle, I guess.
No, and I mean, you know, me being me, I kind of like analyzed it and figured out like where are the bottlenecks and on this and everything. And I got to a point where I could make a single set of poi in less than 5 minutes. But you know, you run into a few problems. One of which being that you know, I have to travel a lot for what I do. Going around.
Really, you travel a lot?
Oh yeah. So within this kind of subculture, there are a lot of festivals that they have where basically people show up for a weekend and they take workshops from people that, you know, they respect. And at night, there is a gigantic dance floor where people get to spin fire to DJs.
Nice.
Yeah. So I used to tour this festival circuit very extensively, which is awesome because it gives you FaceTime with your fans and everything.
Yeah, you get to meet people, build your brand that way, and
exactly
network and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the great ways I built an audience was anybody who popped into my workshops and those, I took their email addresses and said, hey, I'm going to send you a feedback form so you can tell me like how did this class go for you and everything. And I'm also going to include videos that are like,
are people showing up to these fire spinnings like fucked up, or are they like,
well,
that's gotta be somewhat aggravating.
Yeah. I mean, so in theory, all of them are events that are supposed to be, dry events, and people aren't supposed to bring substances to them and everything. But there's kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge element to that. Of course,
yeah.
And it depends upon the festival. Some of the festivals, there's a really strong party scene, and some of them, there's almost no party scene.
Oh.
There's actually one up in New England called Wildfire, where they'll actually shut down the fire circle at midnight. And to just so there's not like a party place for people to go and everything, which I kind of like because you get people who are more rested then, like coming to your workshops the next day and everything. But yeah, it does tend to be a problem, and people get super excited and they want to take all of the workshops and they just don't pace themselves, and by the end of the weekend they're just like totally mentally blown whether they've been doing stuff or not, and sometimes people have a hard time holding on to stuff, but they always really appreciate it because they get to connect with other people that have similar interests, and they get to connect with people they really respect.
Do you ever see, I don't know why I want to be like, has EDM helped you? Of course it has. But do you ever see yourself or what it is doing going mainstream?
I don't know. I think that we would need to change a few things culturally for that to be possible. I think we have a lot to offer the mainstream, honestly. This is one of the reasons why teaching Poi is more important to me than performing it, because there's plenty of artists out there that like make a living by going out and performing at corporate events and everything, and that's not something that I get as much of a charge out of. And the reason I like teaching is simply because the best things that Poi spinning and the flow arts in general have added to my life are all things that I would like to give to other people. Access to this wonderful community, this great mental challenge, and it gets you up and makes you exercise.
That's true.
You
could market that to like middle-aged women in the government.
That's the plan.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, well, so I got an offer to teach a 10-week class at a community college, which that reminds me, later today I need to finish writing the outline for that.
Oh, like alternative ways for exercise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Like Poi becomes the next Soul Cycle.
Or maybe the next Zumba, who knows? Yeah. But so I think that we have a lot to offer, personally. I think that, Poi spinning and flow arts check off a lot of boxes there. The problem that I keep seeing us run into is, we're definitely like a kind of subculture and counterculture oriented pursuit. It's surprising that there's a guy who's really popular in this particular subculture who doesn't do drugs and doesn't like EDM, and
that is kind of so contrary to the whole thing.
Exactly, and when you get down into it, there's like these are subcultures in which people have this really strong sense of identity that are tied to it. And there are some people for whom it feels very threatening to see it become a more mainstream kind of thing.
They don't want to see it. They don't want to...
They don't want the kids that beat them up in high school to be doing it,
They kind of want to keep it to their heart.
Exactly. And, growing up listening to punk music and everything, I remember that. I remember that culture, and I remember... feeling like this was a place that you belonged, and this was a place that you could be safe in everything. And
do you think Poi is rave culture though?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I mean,
like, do you think it's in the same sort of box as like the finger light gloves? Because that's a big thing with kids these days, I've heard.
So it's a funny thing that you ask that, because one of the big companies that makes those gloves, Amazing Lights, has gotten into producing Poi in recent years.
About time.
Well, so here's the thing.
You better be all over that shit.
No, so they got tarred and feathered for doing it.
Really?
Yeah, the Poi kids were not having this. They thought that they were like cultural carpetbaggers, and like
that doesn't make sense.
I know. It
gives them a bigger platform.
Exactly. But sometimes there are people that, want to, what's the term, bite their nose to spite their face,
Yeah.
And there's a really strong current of people that like do not want to see it go mainstream, that want to keep it small, want to like keep it pure. And I know. I feel the same way about it. I understand it. I do understand the mentality. And I think that there's room for both. And, the thing that always confuses me is just, I think that there's a way that both of those things can happen, but it seems for so many people as though if the other thing is happening, then it ruins the way that they're getting to enjoy it. And that's something I don't understand.
Oh yeah. It's not like this and that. It's like this or that.
Exactly.
So did they not sell the Poi anymore?
No, they still do.
Oh, they say as a business, they're like, screw you guys. Like,
I know. No, I've actually done a couple sponsored videos for them and everything over the years. Because, their CEO is actually a nice guy. I
remember hearing about it when years ago. It was like some Asian guy in college or something like that.
Brian Lim, yeah.
Yeah. Went to some raves, got the genius idea that no one was doing this, and he started the business. Like, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, absolutely. And ironically enough, his wife got him into it, of all things. Which is awesome because it's making connections.
So are you worried about your business declining when EDM declines? Because
No.
EDM is kind of on a bubble.
Yeah.
Like all genres, there's always like the hot genre with young kids. Right now it's dubstep. They all love dubstep. They don't, not all of my house heads or trance heads, they all love dubstep. They all go in headbang.
Yeah.
And glove.
And glove.
Yeah.
God, the first time I got a light show was really interesting because I'd never. no,
tell me about this.
I had never. So, short version of the story. So when Amazing Lights released their Poi, and of course got the blowback from the community, which they actually did make some mistakes in how they marketed it, and there were some legit things that they were getting called out for, freebooting and things like that, after, as they were kind of getting burned in effigy and everything, the CEO reached out to me. I'd evidently popped up on his radar somehow and like wanted to talk to me about like Poi culture and, how they could
so you were like
understand
the
it better.
mediator there.
Tutor, more like, I think would be the way to put it. Mediator in some respects, I think. And he invited me to come out for the International Gloving Championship. I think this would have been in 2017. And I knew gloving was a thing, but I'd never seen it done, and I didn't kind of understand.
Because you don't go to raves.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why.
Yeah. So I show up to Amazing Lights headquarters and everything, and they'd brought in all their sponsored kids and everything. And they had this glorious back studio with like a shadowless room and an amazing camera and like this incredible rack of LEDs that they can, oh God, it's like being inside a small theater. It's incredible. And so like while these kids were like shooting videos and everything, Brian's just like, hey, does anybody want to give Drex his first light show? And there's this dude who's like, oh, I do. And so he's like, yes, go sit down in the chair and everything. And this kid walks up to me and like, I'm just like, oh my God, like so up in my face. Cause spinning Poi, you've got like this personal bubble that's at least like 6 feet around you and everything at all times because you don't like, otherwise you hit people.
Yeah.
And this kid just like gets so up in my business with his gloving and everything. And it was beautiful, but it was also one of those just like, oh my goodness, this is a very different culture.
Yeah, because they use like depth and hiding and finger cutting and all that stuff to kind of trip you out.
And, I should have put 2 and 2 together on that because, if you're using your fingers, this is a very small canvas to work with and everything.
It has to be like...
Yeah. Ironically, I think that in some respects they have the opposite problem that flow artists do, where like when we go to an event, it's very difficult for us to be able to do our thing because we take up so damn much room with it. But we're great for performances because you put us on a stage and we eat up so much space. You can see us from the back of the room.
But for them, they're just twiddling their
so
fingers.
Close
so
in.
it's just like they can't.
You put somebody on a stage like that, and you got to like, I imagine you have to have a camera on them or something that you like project onto a screen.
I've never seen someone, how does the whole audience judge their finger cutting?
Exactly, yeah.
That'd be like a thumb wrestling competition.
Right.
Oh, he's going for the suplex with this macro lens on the camera so we can see.
It's like the videos of like marble races and everything where you got to be right up in there.
So it's so funny. I was talking about gloving with my friend last night. We were out at this Korean spot just grabbing soju and drinks and stuff. And I was telling her about you, and she's like, "Oh," she was like, "Gloving." She was like, "Yeah, my friend's like son loves gloving." That's how I kind of was like, "Oh, so it's like all the young kids are into the dubstep and gloving." I was like, "Oh, this makes sense now."
Yeah.
And then so I actually shared with her my first gloving experience, which blew my mind.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, so it was also the first time I did Molly, so that was crazy. Great combination, by the way.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So it was here in DC. I was watching this band called Dada Life, which you probably don't know who they are.
No idea.
Yeah, but they were epic, and their whole thing was champagne and bananas, and it was like they would throw giant bananas, they would spray champagne on the crowd, but then also it was one of those events where they spray paint on the crowd. They had like a fire hose on stage, and they just spray the whole crowd.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was there with some serious ravers. Got a Molly pill off of one of them. I was so scared. I was like, my mom told me not to do drugs, you know? Like I was I was so noob about it, but I was like, you know what? If there's anyone I trust, I'm gonna trust these people.
Yeah.
So I did it. Molly's amazing, for the record. Like I don't condone drugs, but I'm not gonna lie, that shit felt really good. Yeah, don't do drugs, kids. But if you're gonna do them, do Molly. No. And so I just remember I was sitting there, I was like tripping balls, dancing, having a great day. I was the time of my life, and all of a sudden this kid comes up to me with the gloves on, and my
that must
friends
have
like
blown your mind.
My friends were like,
oh my God.
they were already like, yo, give him his first light show,
Yeah.
and I was like, huh? And I was like, sure. Of course, I'm open to anything at that point.
Right.
So this kid just comes up and he just starts finger dancing in front of me. I'm like, oh, I'm just blown away by this. I'm just like, what the hell is going on? You know, the music's pumping. Like, it was just like all of these just things coming in, and then all of a sudden his homie comes up from behind him and doubles on top of his finger gloving. So I'm literally getting finger banged. I'm getting finger banged on Molly at this fucking concert.
Oh my God.
And so that was just the trippiest experience of my life, and I was just like, oh my God, that was amazing. Like,
and that's how you do your first light show right, kids.
Yeah. I don't know if it was in a studio or anything like that, but that just blew my mind.
Yeah.
But the dedication of the people was insane. The technique and how they do everything, and the angles and the depth and the patterns and the geometry was nuts.
Oh, totally. And one of the really cool things I learned while I was there is there's actually like some crossover of kids that'll do gloving and poi, and they're bringing some poi tricks over. There's a thing in gloving they call flails, where you're essentially like rotating your hand around like this and everything, and it turns the tip of your fingers into like the end of a prop, right? So there are kids that are like building up the dexterity in their wrists that they can like treat it like a poi as they're going around. Yeah, I found out.
It's like voguing or something.
Yeah, exactly. I actually met a kid while I was out there who was like, yeah, you know, I'm taking all of this like tech poi stuff that you're doing and I'm applying it to gloving. I'm like, holy crap.
That's a clickbait video waiting to happen.
Yeah, right?
Throw gloving in there.
Yeah.
Or the word gloving somehow.
Yeah, tech poi for glovers.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know.
Done.
Dubstep tech poi. Brutal breakdown.
Ironically enough, one of these things that keeps popping up as I do keyword research is Poi spinning music. Like, apparently that's a thing people search for, and I've never seen a video that actually works around those keywords.
Well, that's actually interesting, because when I was at your burn, that was a problem with everyone. Is what songs do we want? What do we want? So it seems like there's a genre or a playlist that should exist where people could just be like, this is it. If I'm going to spin, I'm just going to put on Drex's Poi spinning playlist.
Well, I mean, and this is like totally one of those people who live in glass houses moments, but like, as somebody who like doesn't really care for EDM, being around EDM fans is occasionally really funny to me, because they spend more time, gross generalization, and I'm like, people are going to take issue with this. This is going to be the thing that people write angry comments on this video about.
Something good about that.
No, but like, I swear to God, EDM fans spend 90% of their time talking about the genres they don't like. They spend so much more time talking about the music they don't like than they do about the music that they do like.
You're in these crowds a lot more than me, so you have way more insight.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there like, I love house, but I hate tribal dubstep, or I hate tech house.
Among my friends here in DC, there's one person who's just like, okay, we can listen to anything just as long as it's not house, kind of thing, you know? And I'm like, really?
Anything but house. I just can't do the doof, doof, doof.
Yeah,
like,
and then they'll like come back from parties like, oh, there's too much deep house there. I didn't like it, kind of thing.
Yeah. How many times have you heard that's like?
More than I can count at this point, which I love my friends, but this is always, and again, people who live in glass houses and everything coming up in the punk scene. Punks are just as bad. I totally admit that. But it's been a long time since like I've been in that kind of way in terms of like, you know, being a little music.
It's like they're talking about wine or something. Yeah, I went to the show and it was, you know, 50% dubstep, 20% rhythm, and then 10% house. Oh, I hated it. Like
it was 2015.
Yeah,
Era
yeah,
dubstep, bad vintage. You know?
do you remember 2011 when it was all dubstep? It was fabulous, Martha.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's crazy. So what's coming down the pipe for you? What's coming up for Drex Factor? I mean, it seems like online's doing great. You gotta,
Yeah.
I mean, what's
so the tour I'm really excited about. I just secured sponsorship for it too. So there's a
Nice.
prop company that's sponsoring me doing it, Lantern Smith. Thank you guys.
shout out Lantern Smith?
Hell yeah. So that I'm really excited about, and I'm really excited to see how like kind of pivoting my focus a little bit is going to work this year, and like getting to connect more with the fan base and everything it's something that is going to nourish me both, I think, as a business person as well as like just as an artist and a human being, you know? Still on the fence about Burning Man this year. Well,
Really, you don't want to go? Or?
I mean,
It seems like a huge investment,
it's such a huge
like
investment.
monetary and time and energy, because
Right.
you don't like you got to prepare for it. You got to spend all this money. You got to
Right.
be mentally prepared for Burning Man, and then when you got to detox from Burning Man when you get back.
Yeah.
that seems like a lot, especially as people like me and you. I'm guessing who. I'm very business minded. I don't want to waste that time.
No, totally.
You know, I'm thinking if I'm there burnt out after Burning Man, I'm like, fuck, I could have uploaded a video, or I could have done something, or I'm at Burning Man, like, oh, I could totally be doing something right now.
That's why you do your content in batch instead of to go live later on.
What?
Most of my content I do all in like 1 week, and then I just set it to go live later on.
Oh, well, I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart. I have a good schedule with podcasts where I'm like a little behind, so I have a delay so I can catch up, but that's about it.
Oh yeah, I record all of my YouTube videos for 1 month and 1 day. I spend a week writing them, and I shoot them all in a single day, and I spend the next week editing them.
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
it is. The days that I shoot are exhausting, and I'm brain jello at the end of them. But it also it gives me so much more time to, you know, brainstorm and connect with people.
Here's an odd question.
Yeah.
Do you pick up a lot of bitches with your poi spinning?
What's that?
Do you pick up a lot of girls with your poi spinning? I mean, in that world, you got to have some groupies, man.
Yeah, I mean, so God, all right, now you're embarrassing me here. No, I mean, I short answer, I have definitely made some connections with some very wonderful people as a result of poi spinning.
Bet. Spin my titties.
And again, one of the ways in which I'm like such a boring person is just like I really, really, really don't want to kind of I don't want to use the presence to, you know,
You don't use the clout. You don't use the
try
clout
really
to
hard
fuck
not
groupies.
to. I try so hard not to. Like that's an awful statement to make. No, I don't. I
try not to, but sometimes there's just that one girl, and boy, does she look good. I think that's just a benefit of being on the internet. It's a weird thing. It's like a weird privilege of clout. I've got minimal clout, but I still see some returns on that clout.
Yeah.
You've got way more clout and deeper clout to me. So there's some girl out there who's spinning poi, like, I would totally suck his dick.
I mean, I don't doubt that that's true, but I mean, so here's the thing: is like in the dance world and like in the flow arts world too, we definitely we have a problem with how women get objectified and how you know a girl will post a video to one of the Facebook groups where, you know, she's wearing a sports bra and she's like trying to break down a bunch of really difficult tricks. And all the guys will only talk about what she's wearing and be like, oh, you know, I found my flow girlfriend and all that shit and everything.
That's
It's
annoying.
like, I know. It's like, this is how we make sure that we don't bring awesome people into our world, as if they feel like it's a boys club and they're going to get intimidated out of it and everything. And so one thing that is honestly really important to me is I want to make sure that anybody who likes my content and likes the stuff that I do and everything, that when they walk up to me, they feel like, you know, this is a person who is looking at me as a human being first, and that I don't feel like they're trying to get with me or anything like that, you know?
That's important, though.
Absolutely.
It's like create like a long-lasting brand and business.
Yes. And also too, I think it's important to be an example on that, because, we're still kind of in the process of figuring out what people who are well known within this subculture, how they interact with people in it and everything. And I think one of the worst things I can imagine is we just recreate the kind of excesses and problems that already exist in the outside world. We've got an opportunity to set a different standard, so why don't we do it?
True. It's very true.
Yeah.
You're so noble. I mean, I'm like halfway joking and trolling when I ask those kinds of questions.
No, I know, and I mean, I'm human, of course. Like there are definitely moments where.
Well, I mean, even in the photography world, I go out of my way to not be creepy, even to not come across creepy, because
God, that's got to be so important as a photographer, because they've got to trust you implicitly in the studio.
Yeah, and so it's like, hey, come to my studio and shoot. It's like, that's kind of weird when you really break it down, you know. But from the get, I always had that mentality. I was like, I don't ever want to use photography to pick up women. Like, that is not my MO. So I always would go out of my way to like make sure they're comfortable, make sure like they have a good place to change. Like, if I have to move something, I'm like, hey, can I like touch you real quick to move this?
Right.
And they're always way more cool about it. But I always tread on eggshells about it, because that is a label I feel like would never be written off.
Right.
Is the whole, yeah, he's creepy, or he tried hitting on me or some shit. I'm like, not me, not today. Like,
well, and one of the things that really breaks my heart that's been popping up in the fire spinning world in the past couple of years is we're discovering that there are a bunch of photographers that have had deep roots in the flow arts world that are creeps, that have been using it to take advantage of women.
Photographers will always be creep photographers who take advantage of the situation. That's the sad part.
No, I know. And to be fair, it's not just photographers, but there's been an abnormally
it's something that's been coming up recently.
Yeah, of the guys who've been getting called out for it and everything, and a very large number of them turn out to be photographers and everything.
What is all the flow outs girls are ruined that joke.
Try it again. It'll be better the second time, I swear.
What is it, all the flow arts girls are kinky and stuff like that? What is it, they're always more open or something?
I mean, I think that's true of dancers in general. You know?
They are more, well, it's more alternative people.
Yeah.
More open to like group sex and shit like that.
And as somebody who kind of like discovered how to express himself physically through going into the flow arts and everything, it connects you with your body in such a way that you feel so much more comfortable with it, you know?
That's a very interesting way to kind of dissect that one.
Yeah.
Huh. That's nuts.
But yeah, we have some very incredibly fit people in the flow arts, and there are more than a few moments where you're just like, yeah, this is kind of awesome.
Dude, nice, man. I feel like we're naturally coming to an end here.
Yeah.
But something I think is really notable about you is that just how you've done it. It's really remarkable. Like how you've taken this time at Burning Man and turned that, almost give up on it, turned that into being a successful, like joy fulfilled life. I'm gonna assume you seem a very happy guy.
Yeah.
Like, and you're doing it, and you're like a low key legend in it. You know.
Yeah.
And you're able to make that a career. It's so impressive.
I mean, I thank you. And to flip that around for just 1 second, I mean, I couldn't do it without the people that are out there that watch the content and that, you know, are supporting what I do and everything. I definitely feel like I've contributed the work ethic and I've contributed, you know, the figuring out the content and everything. But the other side of that is there has to be somebody there to watch it and somebody there for whom it means enough that they're willing to contribute there, you know? So I'm really lucky that I found an audience, I feel like.
That's awesome. That's humbling, you know?
Yeah.
They put it out, they return it, you return the love back.
Exactly.
It's one big relationship.
It's a big cycle, Ouroboros.
Yeah. We need you guys too.
Exactly.
You're more important. But cool. So is there anything that you want to plug before we go?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So if folks out there would like to take part in these Thursday challenges, they should follow me on Instagram. I am at Drex Factor. And if any of this seems interesting to you, please head on over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/c/Drex Factor, or you can just look up Drex Factor Poi on YouTube. And I have tutorials there for rote beginners. If you have never touched a set of Poi before and have never been coordinated in your life, congratulations, you're starting exactly the same place that I did.
Hey.
And if I can get here, you can get here. So, yeah, check those out. And, yeah, I hope to connect with some of you guys one of these days. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll link all of that in the bio, or
awesome.
Most of it, the important links. And yeah, they can check it out if they want.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. And just let me say, if you have not seen Fire Spun live, you need to see this.
Absolutely.
It'll change your life. So guys, that's it. that's the angle. Peace. I gotta stop hitting record, but yeah, that was awesome, man.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Oh.